Kamijou Touma is being chased down the road by a group of guys he provoked in an attempt to protect a girl in a cafe. Later, when they seem to have stopped, he stops to wonder where they went but is soon approached by a girl named Mikoto Misaka who is in a spur with the ability to use electricity. She tells him that she took care of the guys who were chasing him. She then tries to fry Touma when he tells her that she shouldn't brag about it. Touma begs her not to char him as he is a low-rank student with 0 powers but proves to have some power when he is able to stop her attack from hitting him with his right hand, revealing he can negate any magical power. She gets mad and supercharges her power, causing a power outage in their city while failing to obliterate Touma. The next morning, while Touma is trying to hang his bedding outside on the balcony to dry it out, he meets a girl hanging from the balcony railing. She gets inside after demanding food and Touma feeds her food that is off from his fridge that doesn't work because Misaka caused that power outage. She then introduces herself as Index, a sister and a member of a church in England. She is on the run from sorcerers who are after her grimoires, also known as books of magic spells, that she carries in her head. Touma doesn't believe what the sister is telling him and tries to prove if what she says is true by negating her magical robe, which also acts as a tracker for the sorcerers to find her. He touches her robe and it tears into pieces. Index fixes her robe and they go their separate ways. When he comes back from school, he finds Index lying on the floor next to his door, bleeding from a wound on her back. He tries to wake her up while asking who did that to her until a guy suddenly appears behind him telling Touma that it was the sorcerers. The guy in a black robe introduces himself as Steels, a sorcerer who is after Index grimoires. He admits that he is not the person responsible for the injury on Index's back but also admits that his partner, Kanzaki, did it. He asks Touma to hand over Index but the latter refuses to. Steels then decides to use force. A magical power of flames surround him and he channels them into his hand and throws them at Touma. Touma negates them with his right hand's power. Steels keeps attacking Touma who approaches him. Without any other option, he manifests a fire beast, absolute destruction. Touma tries to defend against the beast wielding a fire cross but his hand cannot negate the cross. Touma runs away from Steels but the fire chases after him. While running, he finds the spell only works because of the notes. He then uses the ceiling sprinklers to destroy the notes and cancel the beast summoning. Touma then punches Steels and saves Index. He carries her to safety and tries to find a solution to heal her wounds. He asks her if she knows any spell that can cure injuries and she tells she does. He follows her instructions but the spell fails as his hand can nullify magic power. He goes to his teacher as she doesn't have any magical powers that can interfere with the spell in any way. As soon as he puts her down in the teacher's living room, Index starts to glow and gives a warning sign that her body will soon enter a state of perish, and that the ritual should begin immediately. Touma is asked to leave as his power will get in the way of the spell and cancel any healing magic. Touma leaves and the teacher helps Index conjure an angel to heal her wound. While Touma is away, he is confronted by a woman who introduces herself as Kori Kanzaki, the woman responsible for Index's injuries. She showcases her skill that can cut anything with just wind blades called 7 flashes, which Touma can't seem to negate even when he gets closer to the target. She tells him she doesn't want to use her ultimate strength of the single flash because it could kill him, and to avoid this, Touma should hand over Index. He tries to defend himself against her attacks, but he fails every time. Kanzaki already knew about his hand could nullify magic and prepared wires around the place to cut his hand off. In the process of the fight, Touma asks why the woman is doing this to an innocent sister. She tells him that she was sent by the church elders, whom are the elders of the same church as Index. She explains why she has pursued Index and why she had to cut her. They go back and forth arguing about who the true friend of Index is between her and Touma. She explains that they must erase Index memories every year because she of her perfect memorization ability. If they don't erase her memories, Index brain will overload and she will lose her life. After his refusal to hand Index over even after an explanation, Touma gets a one-sided beating from the woman that leaves him unconscious for 3 days, which is the day Kanzaki had said Index will have the ritual performed on her. When he wakes up, he finds that Index still remembers him. The two sorcerers soon appear to warn Touma that Index has only a few hours to live, but since she doesn't know, she hurriedly agrees to go with them so they don't harm Touma. While Index is sleeping, Touma gets a phone call from the two sorcerers telling him that Index has only 28 minutes to her current memories and after that she won't remember him. Touma informs them that there may be another way through science to erase them without harming Index. They refuse, but he continues to look through it. He calls all the hospitals to find a neurologist to help him with memory loss induction, but he fails and the clock strikes midnight. The ritual is set to begin. The two sorcerers arrive and start to prepare. Touma asks to say goodbye to Index before her memory is erased. After some convincing, Steels finally agrees to let him, but soon he realizes that something is missing. Touma tries to nullify her spell by touching the seal on the inside of her mouth, waking up her guard that defends against access to the grimoires at all costs. Index in her new form tries to kill all three. Index uses her magic power, which she was believed to not have, to shoot a laser beam at the trio. Touma explains that the church had lied to its members about Index. Steels and Kanzaki back Touma up with their fire and wind sword attacks while Touma is blocking her beam with his hand. The trio deflects the attack on them into space, hitting and destroying a satellite that creates glowing flakes called Dragon's Breath that Kanzaki tells Touma are very dangerous. Index refocuses her attack back to the trio, but Touma succeeds in negating the spell when he touches her head. He broke the spell to make her use only a certain capacity of her mind. She blacks out and he gets hit by a Dragon's Breath flakes and passes out. He wakes up with a memory loss, but he fakes he still has his memory to her. While Index is a little further away from Touma, distracted, Touma gets a visit from Steel, who doesn't know about Toma's memory loss. He fills him in on the mission he has taken up and needs Touma to team up with him. He informs him about the power, deep blood, possessed by a certain student of a certain school that deals with alchemy. The two get to the school cafeteria and every student just stares at them. The students start chanting a spell that chases both around school by some orbs. The two separate in an attempt to throw the orbs off. But Touma is fortunately saved by Humigami, the girl with deep blood. She tells him about her power, which attracts vampires to her and then kills them. But she doesn't want to use it to harm anyone, as vampires are people too. Then Touma finally meets the man behind the battle that was said to be going on at the school, Aureolus Izzard. He tries to attack Touma for the intrusion, but Humigami stops him as she doesn't want to harm anyone. He doesn't harm him but manifests amnesia in him so he doesn't remember anything later. Touma suddenly wakes up outside the school with Steels, where a Gregorian choir is performing a ritual that destroys the school. But as soon as the building collapses, it reverts back to its previous state of full form and its windows go back to the way they were. And Steels tells Touma that it's Aureolus' ability to distort reality. When Touma is still fathoming the power of the alchemist, Sphinx, a cat Index has found and kept earlier, appears under Index's headdress piece, and Touma realizes that she is in danger. Touma and Steels quickly follow her into the school, where they find Aureolus and Humigami with Index unconscious lying on the table. When Touma attempts to rescue Index, Aureolus stops him because he wants to restore Index's memory loss, but Touma has already done that. Steels explains to Touma why Aureolus wants to save Index. Touma continues to want to take Index away from Aureolus, but Aureolus doesn't let him. He uses his gravity power to force them onto the floor. Haim tries to stop him and he kills her while Touma is busy breaking the spell by biting his thumb. When Touma touches Haim, she wakes up. Aureolus uses a gun to shoot Touma. He then uses electricity to shock him and then a car to crush him. But Toma's right-hand power negates it. Aureolus alchemizes another gun to shoot Touma at an incredible speed that Toma's hand can't negate it. Touma doesn't get shot. Aureolus keeps torturing Touma, but Steels says something about his true reality. Aureolus gets mad and sends Steels into the air and rips his skin from his flesh. He launches his sword blade and cuts Toma's right arm away. But Touma continues to approach him nonetheless while maniacally laughing, having discovered a weakness to Aureolus' ability. Aureolus gets scared and goes to hide under his desk, where Touma finds him and uses Aureolus' own power to create a dragon from his arm that has been cut off. Touma visits the hospital to have his arm reattached after defeating Aureolus. Steels visits him to update him on Aureolus, who has lost his memory and ability to use magic. He leaves when Index visits along with Haim. Touma meets Misaka's younger sister on his way from detention. He carries the cat she was trying to feed and they head to a convenience store. Touma leaves the cat with the little sister and heads into the store. The little sister meets the guy she was trying to assassinate but failed, as the guy reflected the impact back to her. The guy corners the little sister and they start to fight. He asks her a question. She chooses not to answer but attacks him instead. He hits her back with her attack, and when she has sustained an injury, she then answers the question wrong, and he kills her. When Touma gets out of the store, he finds that the little sister is gone. He searches for her down a dark alley and finds her shoes covered in blood. He follows the blood trail leading to the body of the dead little sister. He calls an ambulance, and when he takes them to where he found the body, she is gone. He continues down the path alone and finally finds her. She is carrying a body bag, and when he tells her that he was worried that she had died, she tells him that, indeed, she had been killed. But she also reveals that she is a clone of Misaka Mikoto. She shares memory with all the other clones of Misaka, and that the body bag she is carrying is another clone that was just killed. All this is explained while more clones appear around Touma. Touma is confused and decides to visit the real Misaka to find out what is happening, but doesn't find her home. Only her right-hand girl who can teleport herself and things around her. When a teacher comes to inform the girls about dinner, they get scared that she'll see a boy in the girls' dorms, and she tries to teleport him outside but can't because of his magic. She hides him under the bed where he finds notes of the clones inside a teddy bear's pocket. He leaves and looks for Misaka until he finds her at the bridge. He tells her he found her secret. He advises her to stop trying to kill the guy, but she refuses and tries to electrocute him when he stands in her way. She chars him with all her power and he doesn't stop her attacks, even when she levels up her power that could cause another power outage. He doesn't defend against it and he lays on the ground, roasted. This is all for this anime. Give the video a like, and I will see you in the next minutes.